Hello, I'm Nima Rajan. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the federal government's emergency wage subsidy program will be extended beyond its early June endpoint. The program covers 75% of worker pay up to $847 a week to try and help employers keep employees on the job in the face of steep declines in revenue due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Prime Minister says more details on the extension will come next week. The Canadian economy lost almost 2 million jobs in April, a record high as the closure of non-essential services to slow the spread of COVID-19 devastated the economy. The loss comes on top of more than 1 million jobs lost in March. Statistics Canada says the unemployment rate soared to 13% as the full force of the pandemic hit, compared with 7.8% in March. It was the second highest unemployment rate on record. The union representing parliamentary interpreters says the virtual sittings of the House of Commons and parliamentary committees are causing health issues for its members. The Canadian Association of Professional Employees says poor audio quality, occasional feedback loops, new technology, and MPs who speak too slowly are causing interpreters to suffer workplace injuries. Those include acute acoustic shock, headaches, nausea, sleeplessness, mental fog, and inability to concentrate. The union says the injuries, combined with other issues, have resulted in a shrinking pool of available interpreters, bordering on a worst-case scenario. Well, fever scanners are now becoming regulation for some Canadian businesses in the battle against COVID-19. However, Canada's Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Theresa Tam, said earlier this week that the more that is understood about COVID-19, the more it becomes clear that temperature taking is not effective to identify people who have it. Infectious control epidemiologist Colin Furness says testing for both body temperature and blood oxygen level would be a more effective screening measure. Alberta and Ottawa will cost-share a $42 million program to help ranchers deal with a backlog of cattle waiting to be processed during the COVID-19 pandemic. The money will be used to subsidize producers so that they can hold on to and feed cattle for up to 9 weeks to match reduced demand and processing capacity. Alberta is dealing with outbreaks at 3 beef processing facilities, which have forced temporary shutdowns and reduced production. In the U.S., a white father and son accused of fatally shooting a black man who was running in their Georgia neighborhood have been taken into custody and charged with murder. 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery was killed on February 23rd. The arrests yesterday came after the release of a video that appeared to show the incident sparked national outcry. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is asking the public for patience, saying that they were only just brought into the case this week. The U.S. economy lost 20.5 million jobs last month due to the COVID-19 shutdowns. The unemployment rate spiked to 14.7% in April, which is the highest rate since the Great Depression. Nearly all the job growth achieved during the 11-year recovery from the Great Recession has now been wiped out in 1 month. However, the U.S. Labor Department reports roughly 90% of the job losses are considered temporary, with businesses forced to close due to the COVID-19 restrictions, hoping to rehire employees as the economy begins to reopen. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the coronavirus pandemic has unleashed hate speech. He says anti-foreigner sentiment has surged, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories have spread, and COVID-19 related anti-Muslim attacks have occurred. Secretary Guterres says migrants and refugees have been vilified as a source of the virus and then denied access to medical treatment. He says older people, journalists, whistleblowers, health professionals, aid workers, and human rights defenders are also being targeted. Zimbabwe has officially opened the tobacco selling season after a month-long delay amid a COVID-19 lockdown. Tobacco is the country's second biggest foreign currency earner after gold, bringing in $750 million US last year. Allowing tobacco selling gives the government an opportunity to ease acute foreign currency shortages in a country whose economy had been collapsing well before the novel coronavirus. India's Railways Ministry says a train has plowed through a group of migrant workers who fell asleep on the tracks after walking back home from a coronavirus lockdown. It says the driver of the cargo train tried but failed to stop in time. The workers were walking to their home state in central India after they lost jobs when the country went into lockdown on March 25th. Early this week, the government started running trains to carry stranded workers to their home states. But a lack of trains led many to walk back home. Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted that he was anguished by the loss of lives. North Korea has slammed South Korea for what it called reckless military drills near their disputed sea boundary. The South quickly denied any training in the area, which has been the scene of several bloody inter-Korean naval skirmishes. The wrangling came 5 days after the rivals exchanged gunfire along their land border that Seoul says the North started. Meanwhile, scuffles have broken out at Hong Kong's Legislative Council. Pro-Beijing and pro-democracy lawmakers have been caught in an impasse over the delayed election of a chairperson of the House committee, which reads bills and determines when they can be put to a final vote. At a meeting to determine who should preside over the committee, pro-Beijing lawmaker Starry Lee rushed to the chairperson's seat, as pro-democracy opponents scuffled with security guards to surround Lee and prevented them from approaching. Well, Montreal Canadiens goalie and BC native Carey Price has sent his heartfelt support to 2 young boys whose parents were recently killed in a shooting rampage in Nova Scotia. Price sent a video message to 11-year-old Alex Blair and his 10-year-old brother Jack, in which he tells them that they will get through this time because of the character given to them by their parents. Greg and Jamie Blair were among the 22 people killed during the shootings last month. The boys' older brother, Tyler Blair, says the boys are still in shock that, quote, the best goalie in the world would reach out to them by name. Well, I'm Nima Rajan. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll see you next time.